If you feel empty right now, I want you to pause for a second. Not scroll. Not switch tabs. Not tell yourself, I'll watch this later. Just pause. Because emptiness doesn't show up randomly. It arrives quietly, usually when everything on the outside looks fine. You're functioning. You're replying. You're surviving. But inside, something feels hollow. And the hardest part is this. You can't even explain what is missing. You don't feel dramatic enough to complain. You don't feel broken enough to ask for help. You just feel empty. Like you're watching your own life from a distance. If that sounds familiar, this message is for you. I'm not here to motivate you. I'm not here to tell you to be grateful or stay positive. I'm here to sit with you in the honesty of what you're feeling, without trying to fix it too fast. Because emptiness is not laziness. It's not weakness. And it's not failure. Emptiness is what happens after you've been strong for too long. You didn't wake up empty one day. You slowly became empty by giving, adjusting, tolerating, and holding everything together while nobody noticed how much it was costing you. You learned how to keep going even when nothing was filling you back up. And now your mind feels tired. Your heart feels quiet. And your soul feels like it's running on fumes. Let me tell you something you may not have heard before. Emptiness is not the absence of purpose. It's the signal that you've been living disconnected from yourself. Somewhere along the way, you stopped checking in with you. You became what people needed. What situations demanded. What survival required. And slowly, without realizing it, you put your own inner voice on mute. You stopped asking, what do I feel? What do I want? What hurts right now? Because there was always something more urgent. Responsibilities, expectations, pressure, noise. And now that everything has gone quiet late at night, alone, scrolling, the emptiness finally has space to speak. That's why it feels heavier at night. That's why it hits hardest when you're alone. That's why distractions don't work anymore. Because emptiness doesn't want entertainment. It wants acknowledgement. You see, most people think emptiness means something is wrong with them. But the truth is, emptiness often means you've outgrown the life you're currently living. You've outgrown old versions of yourself. Old routines. Old roles. Old ways of coping. But you haven't stepped into what's next yet. So you're standing in between. Not who you were. Not who you're becoming. That in-between space feels empty, but it's actually a transition. And transitions are uncomfortable because they strip away distractions. They force you to feel. Let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you felt excited about your own future, not because of external success, but because life felt meaningful? If you can't remember, that doesn't mean you're lost forever. It means you've been living on autopilot. And autopilot keeps you alive. But it doesn't make you feel alive. You wake up. You do what needs to be done. You sleep. Repeat. No collapse. No explosion. Just quiet numbness. That numbness is dangerous, not because it hurts, but because it convinces you this is all life is. It whispers, this is normal. This is adulthood. This is just how it is. But that's a lie. People learn to survive. You were not designed to feel nothing. You were designed to feel deeply, to care, to connect, to grow. And when those needs are ignored for too long, emptiness becomes the language your soul uses to get your attention. Not to punish you, to wake you up. Here's something important you need to hear. You are not empty because you lack something. You feel empty because you've been giving without receiving. Emotionally, mentally, energetically. You've been the one who listens. The one who understands. The one who stays calm. The one who doesn't burden others. You've been carrying your feelings quietly so you don't become too much. And slowly, that silence turned into emptiness. But emptiness is not your enemy. It's a message. It's saying, stop abandoning yourself. Stop postponing your needs. Stop shrinking to fit a life that no longer fits you. You don't need a dramatic life change tonight. You don't need answers tonight. What you need first is permission to feel again. And that starts by staying here, instead of running from this feeling. So stay with me. If you're still here, that already tells me something about you. It tells me you don't want surface answers. You don't want noise. You don't want another quick fix. You want truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Because emptiness isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention. It waits. And when you finally stop running, it speaks. Now, let me tell you something most people never realize. Emptiness often appears right before a major internal shift. Not before success. Not before happiness. But before clarity. Think about it. When life was chaotic, you were busy surviving. When things were painful, at least you felt something. When everything demanded your attention, you didn't have time to question meaning. But now the chaos has slowed. The emergencies are fewer. The distractions don't hit the same. And suddenly you're face to face with yourself. That's when emptiness arrives. Not because you're broken, but because you're ready to stop pretending. Here's the part nobody says out loud. Some people feel empty because they achieved what they were told would make them happy, and it didn't. They followed the rules. They stayed responsible. They did the right thing. They avoided risks. They kept people comfortable. And now they're sitting with a life that looks stable, but feels lifeless. That disconnect creates emptiness, because your soul doesn't care about appearances. It cares about alignment. You can't fake alignment forever. And when you try, emptiness becomes the consequence. Let me ask you something honestly. Are you tired of being fine? Not broken enough to fall apart? Not fulfilled enough to feel alive? Just fine. That middle state is exhausting, because it requires constant emotional suppression. You wake up already tired. Not because you didn't sleep, but because rest doesn't reach your core anymore. And the worst part, you don't feel allowed to complain. You tell yourself, others have it worse. I should be grateful. I don't have a reason to feel like this. But pain doesn't need permission. And emptiness doesn't ask for justification. It simply exists. Here's something important I need you to understand. You are not empty because your life lacks value. You feel empty because your inner world has been ignored. You've been living outward, performing, maintaining, functioning, but not connecting. Connection isn't just with people. It's with yourself. When was the last time you felt fully present, not distracted, not numbed, not rushing? When was the last time you let yourself feel without judging it? Most people don't feel empty because life is meaningless. They feel empty because they've lost intimacy with themselves. And intimacy with yourself requires slowing down something. Modern life actively punishes. Now, here's the part that might make you uncomfortable, but you need to hear it. Some of the emptiness you feel is grief. Not for a person, but for versions of yourself you never got to be. The dreams you delayed. The emotions you swallowed. The paths you didn't take because they felt unsafe. The words you never said because you didn't want conflict. That grief has nowhere to go, so it turns into emptiness. And ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. It just makes it quieter and heavier. But here's the truth nobody tells you. You don't heal emptiness by filling it. You heal emptiness by listening to it. Not asking, how do I get rid of this? But asking, what is this trying to show me? Emptiness is often pointing to one of three things. You're living a life that no longer fits who you're becoming. You're emotionally exhausted from giving without being seen. You've disconnected from your own desires to stay safe. None of those mean you're weak. They mean you're evolving. And evolution is uncomfortable. Now listen carefully to this part. You don't need to reinvent your life overnight. You don't need to quit everything. You don't need dramatic change. You need honest presence. Start small. Instead of asking, what should I do with my life? Ask, what feels heavy right now? What feels forced? What am I tolerating that drains me? Emptiness fades when honesty enters. Not positivity, not motivation. Honesty. And here's something powerful. The moment you stop judging your emptiness, it loses power over you. Because emptiness feeds on shame. On the belief that I shouldn't feel this way. The second you say, okay, this is here. Let me understand it. It softens. You don't need answers tonight. You don't need a plan tonight. You just need to stop abandoning yourself emotionally. Stay. Breathe. Notice what this feeling is asking from you, not demanding. And remember this. Feeling empty does not mean you are empty. It means something inside you is waiting to be acknowledged. That's not the end of you. That's the beginning of a deeper chapter. If you stayed till here, you're not lost. You're listening, and that matters more than you realize.